how your 401k is misleading you. And that's what we're going to talk about here today at the Heritage Wealth Planning YouTube channel, where you come to learn the truth and nothing but the truth when it comes to all sorts of financial planning concepts. So if you're interested in the truth about financial planning, you have come to the right place, my friends. So don't forget to subscribe down below and then hit the bell to be notified for future content. We do lots of videos here. And I tell you, what you should do also is log on to YouTube Premium. It's $11.99 a month. And what happens is when you get the phone, like say you're sitting in traffic and you know how you click on the phone, you got your YouTube and then you click off to check your voicemail or something like that. If you don't have Premium, it'll click off. You won't be able to listen to the video anymore. But if you have the YouTube Premium, you can click off. You can turn it off and you still have the YouTube going on in the background, just like a podcast. It's awesome. So if you like the Heritage Wealth Planning YouTube channel, and the sound of my voice really gets you fired up, definitely do a YouTube Premium subscription for sure. All right, so let's dive right into this. A client of mine emailed me. He asked me to look at his 401k info because he's like, man, what the hell? They're telling me I don't get how they're getting these numbers. Look into it if you would. And I said, that'd be fine. And after I looked into it, it was all jacked up. I said, man, this doesn't make any sense. Would you care if I shared this as a video? And he said, no, absolutely. If it can help other people, that's great. And what he showed, it doesn't have any personal information in there, but I think you'll find this of interest as it can affect you as well. All right, so what we have here is we have since inception, 10/31/2006 to 8/31/2018, he's averaged 8.49% a year. Not too shabby, right? 8.5% a year, we'll take that. In fact, if you do the rule of 72, if you're making 8.5% a year, you take your trusty old calculator, you take 72 divided by 8.5. That means you're doubling your money every 8.5 years. So $100,000 today is worth $200,000 in 8.5 years, or $400,000 in 17 years. How are they getting these returns? Well, your account return represents an estimate of your portfolio return based on available account data using the time-weighted daily return valuations. Time-weighted daily return valuations. Widely used by financial analysts. Well, if it's widely used by financial analysts, man, that's fantastic. The account return estimate is based on the workplace retirement return. Workplace retirement account you are currently logged in under. No other accounts are taken into consideration. This return reflects the results of your investment selections as well as your account activity. All returns over 1 year are analyzed. Okay, so now this is what I want to show you here. So look at this. Account growth from the beginning, 10/31/2006 until the end of 2011. We start with a conversion. So we started with this company, he moved about $96,000 in as a transfer. All right. And then he's putting the max in. All right. So he's putting the max in. Now he's 55 now. And so the max back then is probably 15,000. The max now is about 25,000. So he's putting the max in. All right. So you can see that's his contributions. The orange is his contributions. And there's the account balance right here. All right. So he put between his 96,000, he contributed, 96 plus another 170. So his total contributions here are, 170 minus 96, 74,000 over those roughly 5 years, plus his 96,000 he rolled over. So he put $170,000 in, but the account was only worth, was that about 110 or so. All right. So that makes sense because October 2007 to March 9th of 2009, we got hammered. 2011, we're back up a little bit, but even with all these contributions, he's still making money. He's still knee deep in the red for sure, relative to how much he contributed and relative to how much the account was worth. Does that make sense? Now we fast forward to the beginning of 2012. Into 2018. So again, his contributions, he's put in about, 300,000 or so, and his account is worth $480,000 now. All right. So now we're saying he put in his initial contribution plus all the annual contributions. Again, we're saying he said he maxed it out, and we're just going to use a simple 20,000 per year contribution amount, simply because his 15,000 was the max back. It was like 15 and 16 and 17. 18, then once you hit 50, you can put another additional $5,000. So we're just going to say he contributed $20,000 a year. All right, so now we got $20,000 a year going in, $20,000. Those total contributions are $288,000. In fact, we can actually see $288,000 minus 96 divided by 12, about $16,000 a year to be exact. So about $16,000 a year is what he's been putting in. All right, now his account's worth $480,000. Remember, it said we returned 8.49% since inception. All right, so let's see if that shakes out right. So I take my trusty calculator and I say he started with $96,000 as his present value. We're putting $16,000 a year into this guy, and we're doing it for 12 years. All right, 12 years, and we have a net end value of $480,000. What is our rate of return? And I get a rate of return of, man, it's taking a long time to calculate. Bear with me. Oh, I got to do something else. Hold on just a second. $480,000, blink. Our rate of return is, hold on just a second. We got to do back again. 96,000 is our start. We pay $16,000 a year as a payment. $480,000 is the future value. We got 12 years. What's our rate of return? 6.44%. So how they get 8.49%? I do not know. I don't know. The fact is he gets 6.44. That's if we just say he's averaging 16,000 a year. And the facts are, at the beginning of this point, he wasn't even putting in 16,000. He's only putting 15,000, if even that, because he can only do the max. At the latter part of the year, he's putting in more. So he's backloading of those 16,000 a year contributions. He's backloading the amount he's contributing, which means those get less rates of return. So I don't get how he gets 8.49. What I do get how we get it is that if we calculate as if he's only putting 11,500, we'll get the 8.49% right there. If his contributions are only 11,400, 500 over those basically 12 years. So what does that mean? Does that mean these guys are lying to you? No, it's just the way they're looking at the time-weighted daily valuations, the time-weighted returns, the rhythmic returns. There's various different returns you got to look at. And I want to show you something actually here if I can find So I want to show you. Here's what a return. This is why returns can be misleading. If you have 100. My black one. All right, here, sweet. Is this it? Yep. All right, cool. I was using red one, didn't work very well. If you get $100 and it grows to $200 in a year, what's your annualized rate of return? $100 grows to $200, you have 100% return. Everybody agree with that? So $100 today, you have $200 in a year, you have 100% rate of return. Now that's pretty common, right? I mean, that's pretty understandable. But now you start the year with $200 and it drops to $100. What's your rate of return there? So you start with 200, but it drops to 100. Well, your rate of return is a negative 50%. All right, so we lost a half, because we've lost a half. Last year we doubled. This year we've lost a half. So for year one, we have 100% rate of return. Year two, we have a negative 50% rate of return. What's our total rate of return in that regard? Well, you got 100% minus 50% equals 50% rate of return, right? Because we take 100% the first year, we subtract 50% the next year, we got a 50% rate of return. Makes sense, right? Well, the problem is, this is where it gets funny. We started with 100 and we ended with 100 after 2 years. We started with 100 and we ended with 100. So how do we have a 50% rate of return? We don't. We don't have a 50% rate of return. We have a 0% rate of return. Absolutely. We haven't made any money. And that's the point I want to point out here. And all these things, when you see these daily rate of return. In fact, what if we started with 100 and went down 50% the first year and then went up 100% the next year? Still the same thing. So if you start with $100 and goes down 50% in the first year and it goes up 100% the second year, you still are ending your account with $100. Which means you still have a 50% rate of return. However, you haven't made any money. In real dollars, you haven't made any money. So it doesn't, in this case, in this simple scenario, it doesn't matter how the returns are calculated or devised, up or down the first year or the second year. You're still ending up with zero. Your dollars that you've made are zero. And that's all that matters. So what I like to tell people is I frankly don't really pay as much attention to the year over year or returns since inception or 5 or 10 years. I just care about how much you put in and how much it's worth. That's all that matters. I put in $100,000. I put in $10,000 a year thereafter. In this case, I put in $16,000 a year thereafter. So he put in $16,000 times 12. He put in 192 plus his initial $96,000. He put, wait, 16,000 times 12. Let me just make sure I got that right. Yeah, 192 plus his 96,000. So he's put in 288,000 and is worth $488,000. And so basically simple division there, 288 divided by 488. He's made 60% of his money over those 12 years. Now that's not a true rate of return, but it is true. It says I put in this amount of money. I have this amount of money today. That's what I have. I put in 288,000. I have 488,000 to my name. That's all that matters. All these numbers here are irrelevant to your ability to spend money to fund your retirement. That's what I want to stress. So all these people say, I need to get an index because the index will give me the average rate of returns without fees. Fine. Or I need to get a money manager because the money manager, blah, blah, blah. He could beat the index without fees. Fine. I don't care. I just care about how much money did you put in and how much is it worth. That's all that matters. And that's why so many people get caught up in this right here where it can be misleading because you're saying, well, how did we get this 8.49? So for me, when I go back to him, I'd say, hey, man, you sure you've been maxing out your account? Because that's what he said. And I don't have any reason to believe he's not telling me the truth. He says he is. So I'd say, he'd say, how are they getting that 8.49? I'd say it's the way they're time-weighted daily valuations. So we got all kinds of different return mechanisms that they can be used to prove a rate of return. And that's what's always scary about comparing rates of return versus other methods for rates of return, because it could be misleading. And in this case, I mean, again, just going off what I know, this is misleading. And that doesn't mean it's wrong and nefarious. It just means they're using a time weighted rate of return that's not representative of his actual rates of return. His actual rates of return are about 25% less than what we're showing here, because I think it's like 6.4, I think is what I said. Because again, if you start with 96,000, you put $16,000 a year in for 12 years, and you have 488,000 at the end of that 12 years, your rate of return is not 8.49. It's about 6.5. A big flipping difference. So anyway, just keep that in mind. Always know how much you put in and what's it worth. That is the most important thing. So always keep a ledger of some sort of your contributions. I'm telling you right now, even if it's just a spreadsheet, a piece of paper, something. It's just how much did you put in and what's it worth? That is the most important thing you can find out when it comes to your retirement account, your accounts, not just your IRAs or 401ks, but all of your accounts for sure. All right. Well, I hope this helps. As always, thumbs up, always helpful. Comments below. Anything you have questions, thoughts, concerns, comments away. And again, this is a blog on my heritagewealthplanning.com, and I'll put some notes on here and I'll post this out there later, and look forward to seeing you next time on the Heritage Wealth Planning YouTube channel. Thanks, guys.